Hi, Blade Angel here, and I'm going to change the format and the way I make videos, and by that I mean I'm going to take a lot less videos from other YouTubers. I'm also going to be a lot less scripted, and honestly, I just now, when I was trying to record this video, I had to keep re-recording, and I wasn't very heavily scripted in the first place. I kind of followed an outline, but it ultimately just kind of upset me. So, we're just going to go unedited, and we're going to talk about supercars with Corvette engines. Whether you can consider the Corvette a supercar or not, that's not what this video is going to focus on. We're here to focus on its engine. First off, why do a lot of supercar companies, especially beginner supercar companies, rely on the Corvette engine? Well, based on what I think about it, it's very reliable, it's very affordable, and it's also very recognizable, and for the power it makes, I can see why they go that route. And a lot of companies, maybe the power or the sound isn't what they're focusing on. Maybe they have something else that's going to sell the car, and you'll see in some of these examples. So let's just get started. The Airash AF8 is probably, without a doubt, the most bland car that's going to be on the list, or one of the most bland. The Airash AF8 has an LS7, which is a 7-liter V8 that's straight from the Corvette C6 generation, the Z06 specifically. This engine has a stock output of 505 horsepower. You want to know how much horsepower the Airash AF8 makes? 505 horsepower. The Airash AF8's design is similar to that of the Fiat Turbo Coupe, which is one of my favorite cars. Definitely love the inline 5, and I do like the way it looks, and the Airash AF8's back definitely reminds me of the Fiat Turbo Coupe's back. So the Airash AF8, they didn't try very hard in the sense that, like, the design doesn't speak too loudly, and the engine itself is literally stock, and that just kind of screams some laziness, but luckily that is not all Airash has up their sleeve. The second car we'll be talking about on this list is also from Airash, so we're going to be going in alphabetical order. The Airash AF10 supposedly features an LS7 also, according to many sources. However, the website itself talks about it featuring a 6.2-liter Chevy-based engine. That's a V8. The only 6.2-liter V8 that makes the figures that they're stating that I can think of is probably the LS9. The LS9 is from the Corvette ZR1 from the C6 generation, and it makes a stock 638 horsepower. So the Airash AF10 has a supercharged horsepower of 900 from the combustion engine alone, because the Airash AF10 also features it's also assisted by 4 electric motors to reach a grand total of 2,080 horsepower. Another number that's over 2,080. Hold on. This isn't like the Tron Nemesis, though, I assure you. This car looks like a lot of thought was put into it. It's a very simple design, and I like that. And looking at the way it looks, it does remind me kind of a Lotus and a Corvette kind of met together, but I do like that, actually. The car itself has decent cooling on it. The design does feature a lot more cooling than the Tron Nemesis did, and I can see how they can pull off a car with over 2,000 horsepower without overheating. And the whole 4 electric motor thingies, that was a good decision also to prevent the whole overheating thingy, because relying on a combustion engine solely to make 2,000 horsepower and expect it to be somewhat a daily driver or a functional supercar is still, in my opinion, something that's we're kind of far from that still. The only cars that tend to have that much horsepower tend to be drag cars or, one-trick ponies. But that's enough of the Airash AF10. So the next car we're going to be talking about is the Aranera Hysaria, or Hysaria. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce this name, but the Aranera Hysaria, Aranera, we're calling it that. The Aranera has an LS3 6.2-liter V8. And the LS3 is from the Corvette C6, kind of mid-generation. So, like, the first C6 had an LS2, but the LS3 was put into the later models until its eventual conclusion. The LS3 makes 430 horsepower stock, and the Aranera does have 500 horsepower that's been supercharged. So they did build their own supercharger. Sounds like they should probably talk of Airash, because that's quite the anemic supercharger to only make 70 horsepower out of the LS3. You almost shouldn't even bother putting one on it. But I'm glad they tried, and like what I was saying at the beginning of the video, Aranera doesn't seem too focused on the fact of what engine's in the car. They're focused on selling another point, which is the fact that their car is made of an entirely graphene body. Graphene is a material that's a carbon synthetic, so it's carbon synthetic material, and a lot of things in this world are carbon, but it's surprisingly strong and has 300 times the tensile strength of steel. Keep in mind, tensile is different than regular. That doesn't mean this car is invincible, but it does mean the car is damn near it. So the Aranera Hysaria definitely has a very unique design. It does look too much like a Lambo, but like I said, because of what it's made of, I give it the pass. I think that's cool. I think that's innovative, and I'm glad Ardnair had the guts to do something and try something out like that. And I can understand why they put an LS engine in the car just to get it moving. And hopefully they make their own engine someday, because I feel like this was more of kind of a tech demo from them. So the next car on this list is, I guess, another bland, boring, and generic car, kind of the Air AFA. It's kind of forgettable, but it did sell okay, and that's the Falcon F7. Want to guess what engine it has? Go on, guess. Alright, it has the LS7. Mind blown, right? Yeah, of course it has the LS7. It's called the Falcon F7. So the LS7, once again, 7-liter V8 from the Z06 C6. Stock engine, 505 horsepower. They've got up to 620 horsepower, and they do sell a twin-turbo model that also makes 1,100 horsepower. They sell this car for, I think, $295,000 for the 620 horsepower model, and $395,000 for the 1,100 horsepower model. Those prices are not too bad. But, you know what, a lot of people are saying that compared to Lamborghini or whatnot, it's a steal, and you know what, from performance capability, it is, but at the end of the day, you have to remember, Lamborghini has that nice sounding 6.5 liter V12. You know, something about having that engine, or having kind of all that exotic car slaying, is what also gives it that price, and just having another generic Corvette engine and charging hundreds of thousands almost seems like a crime, and because of that, the Falcon F7 has been rather forgettable. However, they aren't the only ones who are charging hundreds of thousands. How about try a few millions? So the next car on this list is the Hennessy Venom GT. This car has an LSX engine, which is, I believe... Okay, so this one, I looked a lot of sources in. It's an LSX that's a 7-liter V8. So it's 427 cubic inches as opposed to 454, because most LSX engines that I'm familiar with are 454 cubic inches, or smaller, like 380 or under. But the only 427 that I can think of is the engine from the late model Corvette C5R, so their race car, and like I said, the late model one, because the earliest Corvette C5R had a 6-liter V8. So I'm not sure if that's official. All sources I've read just said LSX 7-liter, but like I said, I took it upon myself to kind of sort of find out. If you know what the engine actually is from, say it in the comments below, but I think it's from the late model Corvette C5R. Hennessy Venom GT puts out 1,451 horsepower as of this year, early January. So the last Hennessy Venom GT ever made put out 1,451 horsepower, which is pretty good actually. However, the one that set the whole Guinness World Record, or I don't even know if it's official anymore, had 1,200 horsepower, which is a more well-known one. This car sold for a whopping $1 million. And you know what? That's a lot, honestly, for a car that a lot of people consider an over-glorified kit car. And in my Trying Nemesis video, I kind of discussed whether or not America's first hypercar is even a title that exists yet. I personally think it belongs to the Saleen S7. Some people think otherwise. Some people say it belongs to this car, but I think this car is more of an I am inclined to agree with the whole over-glorified kit car argument, in the sense that it has a Lotus body. It's insured as a Lotus, and honestly, if a car is not insured as its own kind of unique title, that's kind of a no-go for me. That's something that kit cars tend to do. And the fact that its interior is the same, and it's definitely a driver's car, I'll give it that, and it definitely deserves respect, but the price, what it is, and Hennessy's reputation itself has been questionable. But we're not here to knock on car companies. We're just here to talk about supercars with Corvettes engines. And with that, that ends the first part of this series, because boy oh boy would you believe that there are a lot of supercars that have Corvette engines. And when I was researching this, a lot of these cars were from Asphalt 8, and that's what started the whole idea of this video. But it just kept snowballing, and I just found all kinds of cars that I didn't even know of, some cars that I've heard of and even liked that had Corvette engines. Other than that, I hope you look forward to seeing what those cars are, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Like I said, I'm going to kind of keep the format of everything on my channel a little different. I felt a lot of shame kind of using videos from other channels, and it just didn't feel that way. And even if this new method is less entertaining or whatnot, I hope that's you're willing to put up with it, or, you know, if it's not a style you like, you know, whatever. It's what I've chosen to do personally, and I definitely think this is something I feel more comfortable with, because I just did not like what I was doing before, and I definitely do not like sounding like I'm reading off a script all the time, because I love having fun and enjoying talking about cars. So, like I said, thanks for watching. Other than that, Blade Angel out.